Rain poured down on the steel streets of Delta 9 Station. Eli walked quickly, his hood pulled up, boots splashing through puddles. He had just finished a long shift in the loading docks. He was tired, hungry. He just wanted to go home. But something stopped him. A small sound. A weak voice. "Please, just take me." He turned his head toward a dark alley between two buildings. The light there flickered. Trash lay scattered on the ground. But in the corner, near a broken crate, sat a girl. An alien girl. She was young, maybe no more than 20. Her skin was pale blue, her hair dark and wet from the rain. She wore nothing but a thin cloth over her body. Her legs were shaking. She looked up at Eli with large, glowing eyes. "Please," she said again. "You don't have to pay much. I'll do anything." Eli froze. "What?" She tried to stand but stumbled. "You can own me. Just food. Just something warm. I'm not dirty. I can still serve." His heart dropped. People were walking past the alley. No one looked. No one cared. One man laughed and tossed a bottle in her direction. Eli stepped forward. "Stop it," he said to the man. The man shrugged and walked off. Eli turned back to the girl. "I'm not here to buy you," he said softly. She blinked, confused. "Then why are you here?" He slowly took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. "You're freezing." She flinched at his touch. He backed away a little. "I won't hurt you." Minutes later, they sat in a small diner on the lower level. The girl held the cup of broth like it was treasure. She sipped slowly, careful not to spill. "You haven't eaten in days," Eli said. She nodded. "Do you have a name?" She looked down. "They called me different things. I forget my real name." He felt a sharp pain in his chest. "I'm Eli," he said. "You don't have to do anything. Just eat." She stared at him, then whispered, "Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do." After the meal, she followed him silently to his small room above a repair shop. She stepped inside like it was sacred ground. "No cages," she whispered. "No," Eli said. "You're not a prisoner." She sat on the floor, curling up in the corner. "You can sleep on the bed," he offered. Her eyes widened in fear. "Is that what you want? Tonight?" "What? No, I mean..." He rubbed his face. "I just thought you'd be more comfortable." She looked confused. No one's ever been kind, not without wanting something. He pulled out a blanket and laid it beside her. "You can stay as long as you want. I'll figure it out." In the middle of the night, Eli heard soft sobbing. He turned and saw her sitting near his door. Her head was down, her body shaking. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. "I had a dream," she whispered, "that I was back there." Eli sat beside her. "I won't let that happen," he said. She turned. To him, her voice cracked. "Please, don't sell me." He felt something inside him break. "I won't," he promised. "You're safe now." But far away, in the shadows of Delta 9's Undercity, a thin, sharp-eyed alien watched a screen. The image showed a blue-skinned girl sitting in a diner. His hand clenched. "She ran," he growled, "but she's not gone." He pressed a button and spoke into a comm device. "Put a bounty on her. I want her brought back, alive or broken." "And the human helping her?" He smiled darkly. "Kill him." Rain tapped softly on the small window, above the bed. The room was quiet, except for the slow breathing of the alien girl curled up on a soft mat near the door. Her body still trembled now and then, even in her sleep. Eli lay awake on his bed, staring at the ceiling. He didn't know her name. He didn't know who she ran from. But he knew one thing. She needed help. Real help. When the sun rose, Eli made tea and a warm flatbread. The girl sat silently, watching him. "You don't have to sit on the floor," he said. She shook her head. "Slaves don't share chairs." "You're not a slave anymore." She looked at him for a long moment, then slowly stood and sat on the edge of the bed, like it was dangerous. He placed the tea in front of her. She didn't drink. Eli noticed her hands, so thin, fingers trembling. "What did they call you?" She didn't answer at first, then finally whispered, "Subject 87. Before that, I think." "Saya. Saya," he repeated softly. "That's your name now. Your real name." Later that day, he gave her clean clothes. Basic, but warm. She went to the tiny bathroom and locked the door. Eli waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. He knocked softly. "You okay?" Her voice was small. "I don't know how to wear things anymore." Eli paused. "Take your time. No rush." She came out after a while, dressed but unsure. She looked different. Not like a slave, not yet free, but something in between. They walked down the back alleys to a small corner market. Eli kept her close. She kept her eyes on the ground. "Don't look at anyone," she whispered. "Why not? They'll think I'm for sale again." Eli's heart ached. They bought food, medicine, a blanket. The shopkeeper stared at her. Eli noticed and gave a firm glare. He paid and walked out fast, but Saya was shaking. "They recognized me," she said. "Who did?" "Someone in there, from before." That night, Eli gave her the bed and took the floor. She stared at him. "You're doing everything backward," she said. "Maybe your whole life was backward," he answered. "I'm just setting it right." She didn't know what to say. Later, when she thought he was asleep, she whispered in the dark, "Why are you helping me?" He didn't move. "Because no one helped me when I needed it." In the shadows of Delta 9's East Sector, a tall figure walked into a private club. His long coat dripped water onto the polished floor. The alien bounty hunter, known only as Trask, handed a data chip to the owner. Girl, blue-skinned, scar across her left shoulder, escaped from Corgan's house last season. The owner narrowed his eyes. He still wants her? Alive. And the man she's with? Dead. A new hunt had begun. The next morning, Saya stood by the window. "Do you like music?" Eli asked. She turned. "What's that?" Eli smiled and pressed a button. Old Earth jazz filled the room. She jumped at first, but then tilted her head, curious. "It feels soft," she said. "Yeah." Eli chuckled. "That's a good word for it." She stared at him again. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," he said gently. She stepped closer. "I don't understand humans." "You don't need to," he said. "Just rest. Heal." Her eyes watered. "I don't know how to do that either." He handed her a warm drink. Start small. That night she did not cry. She did not sit by the door. She lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. And for the first time in many years, she fell asleep without fear. But not far away, Trask watched a small holoscreen. It showed a blurry image of Eli's face. "Found you," he growled. He loaded his weapon. Eli needed parts. His repair work couldn't stop just because he was hiding someone. So that morning he asked Saya gently, "Would you come with me? I don't want to leave you alone." She nodded slowly. "I'll wear the hood," she said. "If anyone sees my face and they might remember." Eli handed her a long coat and a scarf. "We'll be quick, just in and out." But in Delta 9's East Market, nothing was ever simple. The market buzzed with noise, voices in different languages, sellers shouting prices, steam rising from food carts. Saya stayed close to Eli's side. Her hood was low, eyes on the ground, but sound still made her flinch. Loud laughs, metal clanging, footsteps too close. Eli grabbed her hand without thinking. She froze. He was about to pull away, but she didn't let go. "I'm okay," she whispered. "Just hold on a little longer." They walked toward a stall that sold broken circuit chips. Eli leaned over the counter to ask the old vendor about a part. Behind them, a man with yellow skin and two glowing eyes paused. He stared at Saya, then smiled. Well, she stiffened. Eli, during something wrong? The man chuckled. This girl, she still owes my boss. She was one of Corrigan's. Eli stepped in front of her. She's free. The man's eyes narrowed. No one leaves Corrigan. He reached for her arm. In one fast move, Eli grabbed a metal pipe from the stall and raised. It touch her and you lose that hand. The crowd turned, voices hushed. The man stepped back. You'll regret this. Then vanished into the crowd. Eli didn't waste time. He grabbed Saea's hand and pulled her down a side alley. Fast. She was shaking, barely breathing. He stopped behind a stack of crates. You okay? She leaned against the wall. They saw me. He'll tell Corrigan they'll send someone. Eli nodded. Then we leave. Now. They rushed back to his room, packed everything, just what they could carry. Saea didn't say much, but her eyes were wide, darting everywhere. As Eli stuffed tools into a bag, he noticed her sitting still, holding something, the scarf he gave her. It was wet from the rain, but she clutched it like it was a gift made of gold. Far across the station, in a private chamber filled with shadows, Corrigan sat on a throne of bones and glass. The yellow-eyed man knelt before him. She's alive, he said. With a human. Corrigan's face did not move, but his long fingers tapped the armrest. She was mine. Yes, my lord. I want her back. Not broken, not dead, but desperate. Screaming, the bounty hunter stepped forward from the dark, Trask silent and cold. Give me 1 hour, he said. Eli and Saea boarded an old freight tram, heading toward the outer zones of Delta 9. It would take them far from the city, far from the Baron's eyes, or so they thought. As the tram rumbled along, Saea stared at the stars outside the glass window. I've never seen them like this, she said softly. What do you mean? From behind a window, not bars. Eli watched her. She looked fragile, but inside she was strong. Surviving what she did wasn't easy. He wanted to say something, anything, but all he managed was, You deserve this view. She smiled. You say strange things. At the next station, the tram slowed. Eli stood to check something outside. Saea reached for his arm. Wait. He turned. I'm scared, she said. He sat back down and took her hand. I am too. But we're still moving. Forward, that means something. She leaned her head on his shoulder. For the first time, she didn't flinch when touched, but on a nearby rooftop, Trask raised a scope to his eye. He zoomed in. Saw her. Saw him. Found you. He whispered. He tapped his communicator and began to follow. The tram hissed as it came to a stop near the edge of the trade district. Eli stepped off first, scanning the area. Old towers leaned against the sky, smoke rising from vents in the ground. Fewer people here, fewer eyes. He turned back to help Saea down. She stayed close, her hood pulled low. Where are we now? She asked. A quiet zone, Eli said. I used to fix droids here. No one looks twice. But someone was looking. From the top of a broken signal post, Trask watched through a lens. His face showed no emotion. He had tracked hundreds, but this time something felt different. Eli led Saea through a maze of rusted doors and dark corners until they reached a small shack near a junkyard. Inside, it was dusty but safe, a place no one would think to search. He handed her water and sat down with a sigh. We can stay a few days, he said. Saea looked around. It's not pretty, but it's ours, for now. She smiled faintly, then her smile faded. Do you think he's still looking for me? Eli didn't answer right away. He didn't have to. Her silence said she already knew. That night she dreamed of cages again, hands grabbing her, laughter behind metal doors. When she woke, her breath was sharp, eyes wet. Eli handed her a warm cloth. You don't have to explain, he said. But she did anyway. I was sold 3 times before I was 15. Corrigan kept me the longest. He said I was quiet, easy to control. She looked away. I wasn't quiet, I was scared. Eli listened. Every word was heavy, but he didn't interrupt. When she finished, she wiped her face and whispered, "I don't want to be scared anymore." Eli nodded. "Then we fight if we have to." The next morning, a knock came at the door. 3 sharp taps. Eli stiffened. "No one knows we're here," he whispered. Another knock, louder. He grabbed a wrench and stepped. Close to the door. "Who is it?" he called. No answer. He peeked through the slot. Nothing. He opened it slowly. Just a crack. A flash of metal. A boot. Boom. The door slammed open, knocking him back. Trask stepped in, coat flowing, eyes cold. Saya screamed and backed away. "You don't have to run anymore," Trask said calmly. "Come now. I'll make it easy." Eli grabbed the wrench and charged, but Trask caught his arm mid-swing and slammed him into the wall. "Stay down, human." He turned to Saya. She was frozen. Memories filled her head. Nights in the cage, cries in the dark. She couldn't move. Trask reached for her wrist. Then something snapped. It wasn't her. It was Eli. He launched himself forward, punching Trask across the face. The hunter stumbled back. Eli grabbed a small energy flare from the shelf and smashed it on the floor. Flash! Blinding light filled the shack. "Run!" Eli yelled. He grabbed Saya's hand and bolted through the back door. Trask cursed and chased them, vision blurry. But they were gone. They ran through narrow alleys, past crates and leaking pipes, until they reached a sewer grate. Eli pried it open. They dropped inside and crawled through cold, wet tunnels. Finally, they reached a space under an old station bridge. Safe. For now. Saya was out of breath, shaking. "You came after him," she said. "You fought for me." Eli wiped blood from his lip. "Of course I did." She stared at him, confused. "Why? I'm not yours. You don't have to be mine," he said. "You're you. That's enough." She touched his face gently. "No one's ever protected me before." Above them, Trask stood at the sewer entrance. His eye still burned, but his face was calm. He clicked a small tracker. "Let them run," he said into the comm. I marked the girl. A faint red light blinked on her scarf. The sun peeked through the cracked ceiling of the drainage tunnel. Eli stretched his arms, wincing. His back ached from the cold concrete. But when he looked to his right and saw Saya sleeping peacefully beside him, her head resting on his old jacket, he smiled. For the first time, she wasn't shaking in her sleep. They walked all morning, following the old service maps Eli remembered from years ago. The tunnels beneath Delta 9 stretched for miles, forgotten by most, useful only to those who had nowhere else to go. Saya walked in silence at first. Then she spoke softly. "I think I'm broken." Eli glanced at her. "Why do you say that?" "I feel safe now," she said. "But I'm also scared to feel safe, like it'll be taken away." He nodded slowly. "It's not broken. That's just what happens when people hurt you too long." They kept walking, and for the first time she reached out, grabbing his hand on her own. By midday, they reached a locked service door. Eli pried it open and stepped into a quiet underground station. Dust hung in the air. Everything was old but untouched. He found a small room once used by train staff. "This will do," he said. "For now." Saya sat down on a bench and took off her scarf. She was sweating from the long walk, but as she looked down, her eyes froze. There was a blinking red light on the edge of the fabric. A tracker. Her breath caught. "Eli." He turned and saw it. He grabbed the scarf and threw it into a metal sink, smashing it with a wrench until the light died. "They tracked us," she said, voice shaking. "He put something on me." Eli placed both hands on her shoulders. "They're not here yet. But we have to keep moving." As night fell, they left the station and climbed up into the lowlands. Here, strange plants glowed under the stars. Alien birds flew quietly overhead. It was a place far from people, far from the city, and for Saya, it was beautiful. She knelt by a small stream and touched the water. "This doesn't feel like a hiding place," she said. "It feels like a dream." Eli smiled. "Maybe it's both." They built a small fire, shared dried food, watched the stars. Sayaya leaned back on a rock. "Do humans always help people like you do?" Eli laughed. "No, not always. Most are scared. Some are selfish. Some just don't see. And you?" "I saw you," he said. Her eyes filled with warmth. "You didn't turn away." "No," he whispered. "I couldn't." In the middle of the night, she woke up to find him still awake. "You don't sleep?" "Hard to sleep when I know someone might find us." She walked over and sat beside him. "You're not like anyone I've ever known." "I hope that's a good thing." "It is," she said. "But it also scares me." "Why?" "Because I don't know what this feeling is. It's not fear. It's not shame. It's different." He didn't speak. He didn't have to. Their fingers touched, slowly, gently, not as possession, but as choice. Far away, Trask examined the destroyed tracker. "Smart human," he muttered. But he smiled, because he had another one. A second tracker. This one slipped into the handle of the water bottle. The signal blinked again, faint, but still alive. He turned toward the dark lowlands. Almost there, back in the wild, Saya stood under the stars. She let the wind touch her face. No walls, no orders, no pain. Just stars. Eli walked up behind her. "It's quiet here." "I don't want to run forever," she said. He nodded. "Then let's stop running." She looked at him. Eyes full of tears, but no fear. "What would happen if I stayed?" "You'd have your own life," he said. "You'd never be owned again." She smiled softly. "Maybe." "I don't want to be alone in that life." He paused, then whispered, "Neither do I." But deep in the trees, silent and patient, Trask watched through a scope, and this time, he aimed not for the girl, but for Eli. Night wrapped the lowlands in deep silence. Eli and Sayaya slept under a canvas sheet, their backs against a rock wall. The fire was out, the stars overhead bright and peaceful. But danger was closer than they knew. Trask moved like a shadow through the trees. He crouched behind the tall grass, rifle in hand, watching the couple from a distance. His face showed no hate, no emotion, just the cold patience of a trained killer. "They look comfortable," he muttered. "That ends now." He loaded a dart. One hit, enough to paralyze for hours. He aimed, breathed in, and fired. Thunk. Eli gasped. As the dart struck his leg, he reached down, but his fingers already felt heavy. "Sayaya," he groaned. "Run." She sat up, confused. "Eli?" Then she saw him fall, and saw the man walking out of the trees. Trask stepped into the light. "Hello, little runaway," he said. "Time to go home." Sayaya stood between Eli and the hunter, arms outstretched. "I'm not going back. You don't have a choice." Trask pointed the rifle at her, but she didn't move. "Shoot me then," she said, "because I'm not leaving him." Trask raised an eyebrow. "No one's ever picked him over life." He pulled out a stun rod and stepped closer. Saya looked down at Eli, his eyes half open, body frozen. "Stay with me," she whispered. Then she turned and faced Trask. For the first time, she didn't feel weak. She felt fire. He swung the rod. She ducked, grabbed a burning branch from the old fire pit and slammed it into his side. Trask howled in pain. She didn't wait. She ran to Eli, pulled him up with all her strength and dragged him behind the rocks. Trask recovered fast, but by the time he reached the camp again, they were gone. Sayaya moved through the trees, heart pounding, dragging Eli's half-limp body over the mossy floor. "You're not dying," she whispered. "Not because of me." Every few steps, she stopped to check his breathing. Still there. Still fighting. Behind her, Trask tracked them by footprints, broken leaves, and the occasional drop of blood. He admired her will, but it wouldn't be enough. Just before dawn, Saya found an old travel pod half buried in the mud. Its power core was dead, but its shell was safe. She pulled Eli inside and closed the hatch. Then she crawled beside him and held his hand. "I'm not a slave," she whispered. "Not anymore. I don't belong to anyone." She looked at his face, tired, bruised, but warm. "But maybe I want to belong with someone." Trask stood outside the pod, hand on the metal door. He could rip it open, but he waited, then clicked his comm device. "Target secured, ready to return." A voice crackled back. "Alive?" "Both of them. Girls changed. Dangerous." "Orders?" Trask looked at the door again, paused, then turned it off. Inside the pod, Eli opened his eyes. He saw Saya curled beside him, asleep. He smiled. "You dragged me all this way?" he whispered. She opened her eyes. "You'd do the same." He chuckled. "I already did." They both laughed, just for a moment. But in that moment, fear was gone. Trask walked away into the trees. For the first time in his life, he let a target go. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the way she stood between them. Maybe it was the fire in her eyes. Or maybe somewhere deep inside, even a bounty hunter could feel respect. 3 weeks passed. The sun rose and set over the quiet hills beyond Delta 9, far from the noise, far from fear. Eli and Saya had made a new life in the old travel pod, turning it into a tiny home with scavenged parts and soft blankets. No one came looking anymore. The bounty was gone, and the pain slowly faded. Eli worked during the day, fixing old drones in nearby farms. Saya grew food, learned to cook, learned to laugh. But every night when the stars appeared, they sat together outside the pod, close, silent, warm. One evening, Saya held a small flower in her hand. She studied it like it was magic. "It's strange," she said softly. "What is?" "Being alive, free, loved." Eli looked at her. "You feel that?" She nodded slowly. "Every day now." He smiled. "Then my work here is done." She turned to him. "Don't say that. You're not going anywhere." "I'm not," he said. "Not unless you send me away." "I won't," she whispered. "Never." The stars were bright that night, brighter than any she had seen in her years behind bars. She reached out and took Eli's hand. He felt her fingers tremble, but not with fear, with hope. "I thought I'd be alone forever," she said. "But you didn't just save me, Eli. You gave me back me." He looked deep into her glowing eyes. "I think you gave me more." She tilted her head. "What do you mean?" He stood up slowly, then knelt down in front of her. Her eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "I don't have a ring," he said, pulling out a small copper gear from his toolkit. "But this held my father's drone together for 10 years. It's strong, like you." He held it up between them. "Saya, will you stay by my side? Not as a rescued girl, not as a guest, but as my wife." She stared at him, silent, then dropped to her knees too. "I thought I was broken," she whispered, "but you made me feel like I was always whole." Tears slid down her cheeks, and she smiled. "Yes," she said. 1,000 times yes. They laughed, they cried, they held each other for a long time under the stars. 2 broken souls, now one. A week later, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, Eli and Saya stood before a small group of local settlers. No fancy clothes, no music, just them, and a vow. To stand together, to never run again, to never let fear take their future. Far away in the dark underworld of Delta 9, Corgan received word. "She's gone," the messenger said. "No trail left. The hunter backed. Off, Corgan growled, then waved his hand. Let her go, he said coldly. If she's smart enough to escape twice, she deserves her chains off. But even his voice sounded hollow, because deep down he knew he'd lost something powerful, something brave. Back on the hillside, Eli and Saya lay side by side, staring at the stars. Do you still dream of cages? Eli asked. Saya shook her head. No. What do you dream now? She turned, placing her head on his chest. I dream of children, a home, a world that doesn't know pain. Eli kissed her forehead. Then let's build that world. And together, they